base that be able to, bring a little bit more calm and soothing, to that situation. Of course, there's not a whole lot you can say to somebody that just, lost a loved one or something like that. But I really believe that the spirit that's within him would definitely, help in that situation like that.
That would be his responsibility as a chaplain, you see, which is to say that even though you've got the gun and all those things, you've also been trained to deal with other kinds of issues.
That's correct.
And this is where your gospel, in a real sense, comes into play. Is that what we're saying?
Right. And he hit the nail right on the head, because as a chaplain, when you're on your way to make a death notification, and when you knock on that door and you get ready to break that bad news, you're going to change that family's life forever. So mostly it is a ministry of presence, being there. It's almost like once you break that bad news, it's like you shatter that life, and it's just a matter of trying to be there to put the pieces back together. But you don't do it by quoting scriptures and things of that nature, because a lot of times they're in shock. They're not hearing that anyway. So it's a ministry of presence, and that's one of the challenges of understanding the chaplaincy work, even though we use other pastors and clergy, but it's not there to go quote scriptures and try to bring people back through that, because a lot of people already that we go to are already in the faith of something, of some belief, and they already know, but just that presence there offers us peace to them, or just a kind word, I'm so sorry for your loss.
And that's very, very important in terms of how people are able to face the situation that they find themselves in. It might be disagreeable, but it's better to have somebody there who could make those kinds of expressions rather than not to have anybody.
That's correct. Being very compassionate and sensitive, to their needs is very, very important. Very important.
Pastor, what do you think about our young people today? Do you think that somehow they ought to be more involved with ministry or religion or whatever? Do you think that they're...
I think that's very important. And I think one of the things that's missing in our society today is that a lot of our younger people are not being trained up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. A lot of times the parents, that was a generation, and I can't pinpoint exactly when, but there was a generation that said, I'm not going to make my child go to church. I'm not going to do what my parent did, without really applying any real true thought process to what they're saying, because, that same parent required you to go to school, grade school and all through school and stuff like that. So you don't grow up and say, I'm not going to make my children go to school. So why would you say, I'm not going to make my children go to church? And what's happening is there's a lot of there's a break in the moral fiber, because a lot of people are not being trained up, they're not being taught, they're not having a God consciousness, and you taught a lot of moral stuff within the church setting. You go to school, you get an education. In the church setting, you get a lot of moral stuff that builds and develop your character and stuff. And if you're not, and it's not solely done there, but it should be something that helps enhance what you should be getting at home anyway. But if that element is missing, then you're bringing up a child that has no moral restraint, and then it's not hard for that same individual to have a friend and kill that friend.
Kill a friend without thinking about it.
Absolutely, and that's a lot that's missing, And another thing I would definitely, want Officer Duke to tap into also is the need for more and more African American males to come into it, and not only just males but females as well, but more so African American males to come into the police.
And of course, what we'll do when we come back during the this final segment, Pastor Duke, is to have you to talk about. I think it was said earlier, to recruit. Talk about what can be done and what you're trying to do and what your department is trying to do in reference to that. I think that would be appreciated. And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.
Do need to recruit. It would be good to have more diversity within our department, but